Oh, that just spoke to me. It just said this meeting is being recorded. Well, hi, Thomas. How are you doing?
Hey Neil, good to talk to you again. It's been a while, but
It has
I'm
been.
doing good. We both have been very busy doing our own things, which we're going to
Yeah.
talk about today for people. And yeah, it's great to be here. Delighted you've just come back from doing some tours. Do you want to tell us about them?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, it's so great to be back on the road again. And the weather's been absolutely beautiful. I did a couple of one-day tours first up in the Lake District and in Derbyshire. Derbyshire's beautiful, you know. It's also an update Lake District. So they were pretty good. And then we had an Anglesey tour. That's one of my favourites. It was over a weekend, couple of days. So all the usual sites up in Anglesey. Stopped in a really nice hotel as well, overlooking the sea. It was yeah, wonderful. Great to get out and about. You know, it's like I was starting to think it'd never happen again. And last week I had 6 days up in the mount in Scotland. So we did the Isle of Arran, and I stayed. We usually just go in the morning, sorry, go in the evening, look at Macklemore, then go in the morning. But this time we decided to stay for a full day, and I saw lots of sites that I'd never seen before. So I really loved that because usually it's the same thing. You know, you won't see the same sites over and over again. But it was absolutely beautiful on the Isle of Arran, and to see some new sites is fantastic. And Kilmartin Glen as well. And we did you see that little video I put out about a guy had been down and found he'd found
The
go on.
the artwork on the top of the mound. He
Yeah,
found an elk.
yeah, that's right. And it had just been discovered, and it came out whilst we were in the hotel, just about to leave Arran. So we thought if we get there quick, we'll have a good look under there. But Heritage Scotland had been there quicker than us, and they boarded it all up. Unfortunately, been going there for so many years, and with no idea. All we had to do is stick the camera underneath and take a picture of the top of the capstone in a little side
Yeah.
chamber, and there they were. So that's become a thing. So it,
That was a remarkable coincidence and synchronicity. I think that thing is probably even older than 5,000 years because it's very heavily weathered, the images, and it
they
shouldn't
are.
be because it's underneath.
It's
It's
inside,
under
yeah,
the. So if you look at, like, you go into like the Neolithic chambers in Ireland from the same period where there's artwork, the artwork hasn't been affected by the weather at all. But yet this one of the elks, so that we could be looking at something that's really a hell of a find in terms of its
yeah,
antiquity. It might have been
yeah.
outside somewhere and
And
brought in.
the very fact that they were elks as well and stag, because they were the early drawings. Really. And if you remember in Cornack, there's a couple of places there where you go into a chamber and on the roof there's a carving on the capstone there. And what they'd done, that
Yeah,
had been at a totally different site for millennia. And when they built and they took it and they put it over the top as if they're taking the old site and integrating it into the new site. So I wouldn't be
yeah,
surprised if at some point that was part of some stone circle somewhere that with early carvings on.
yeah. It's very exciting when these things happen. I remember years ago, I was there at the Durrington walls when it was announced that huge numbers of stones were found underneath them.
Yeah.
It was just the chances were millions to one, and it was announced that day on the news while I was on the Durrington walls. So these funny, strange things do happen. I saw a photograph of you in Ben Dewey in
Yeah.
Anglesey with that famous petrified stone.
Mm.
What have there been many tourists at the sites? Have they been quiet or busy or what?
That was quiet, to be honest. I mean, the majority of sites in Anglesey are quiet. It's not a place people
Yeah,
go for caravanning and surfing and what things like that. So I mean, they are some of the best sites probably in the world, but especially for chamber tombs and cromlechs. But not a lot of people there. More than usual, definitely. Thinking back, but not as many as there could have been. It was pretty quiet. Scotland's. I'm just thinking, was there a lot there? No, not really. But then, of course, we're on a minority thing anyway, aren't we?
yeah. Is the excavation still going on at Ben Dewey? next to it. There was the last time I was there about 2 years ago. There was major excavation going on.
All right, no, nothing there now. They've got the the throne, or the big early rock sort of escarpments or rocky outcrop that's always been next to Brinkethi. And I think that was the place where they met, or the Druids would have met probably, the early Druids, proto-Druids, before they built the circle. So that's still there, but no, there's no excavation there now.
Yeah, so that's good. That's good. So and the weather was great. Anything and any new places did you go to? Any for the first time?
There was some some of the stone circles. One particular called the Lamlash Stone Circle on Arran. I had no idea where it was because it seemed like it was in the middle of a forest. So I looked it up before we went, and it seemed to be right next to the road. And sure enough, yeah, one of the best stone circles I've seen for a long time. Really big, huge boulders. And right next to the road, up on top of a hill on the Isle of Arran. And on the way home, nearly forgot, we stopped off at Killing in at the end of Loch Tay. And we went just specifically to look at Killing Stone Circle. And magnificent, absolutely magnificent. You know, one of the best stone circles I've seen for years. So it was quite a detour to get around to it, but yeah, fantastic. So if anybody's up in that direction, definitely, you know, just wander down the track and find the Killing Stone Circle. Totally inhabited space. The field's a huge field full of sheep, and all the sheep were inside the stone circle when we arrived. They had to be shifted out. But yeah, I thought they like it in there, like the energy of that place.
It just goes to show you there's always new places to see. There's so much on these islands. You'll never, in one lifetime, you would never see them all.
I'm looking forward to seeing quite a lot more near Sligo, to be honest. I know there's quite a lot there I haven't seen.
We should go down to Cong and County Mayo, the 4 stone circles at Nymphsfield, and also the other strange anomalies around there. There's a very interesting, the largest court cairn in Ireland is down there, with a strange tower-like structure on top of it, which is nothing like this anywhere.
Remember you telling me about that?
Yeah, and they don't get it's a very beautiful place around Cong. It's got a beautiful ancient abbey. The movie The Quiet Man was filmed down there, so it's got a big kind of John Wayne, Maureen O'Hara kind of tourist infrastructure, but it's also surrounded by very interesting places as well, and very beautiful, very pastoral woodlands. The village of Cong itself has a gorgeous ruined abbey, and immediately on its doorstep this gorgeous woodland. So yeah, we'd have to go explore these places.
What was it? What's the word? The town?
Cong, C-O-N-G. It's on the border of Mayo and Galway.
Oh, so that right. It's just about. We stop in Athlone, so that could be done in a day, really, couldn't it?
Yeah, you're on there. You're a lot. You're basically. Easily. Yeah, there's actually a very good road up through that part of the country. So yeah, you would do it, and it's a big. It's in the Gaeltacht, the Irish-speaking region, so it's got this lovely old-fashioned atmosphere about it.
Oh, cool.
And the village itself is really pretty, and it's unspoiled.
Oh, sounds fantastic. Because we've been the last few years coming to Ireland, we used to do Carramore and Carrowkeel, and I decided that I couldn't do Carrowkeel anymore because it's just unsafe driving up there, and I'm not too sure about people climbing up to Queen Maeve's Cairn. You can't expect everybody to climb a mountain. So
well, it's rough. It's even if it's a long walk, and it is some people it is very. To me, it's tiring, and especially nowadays it gets more tiring. But on a hot day, it can be a killer.
Yeah.
It can. Especially if you don't have water or something with you, because it is quite remote, wild, up there.
Yeah, and Queen Maeve's Cairn there. That's it's quite a hike up to it. So yeah, so what have I got next? I've got we've got one this weekend. We're going to doing the Hadrian's Wall on the way up, and then Lindisfarne Priory, maybe the castle. Then over because I went on the Scottish tour, went across to Mull and to Iona as well. which was like a good nice little change. So that's quite a spiritual little place. And we're going to, so Linda's fine, the Duddo 5 Stones. Then we're going to go to Rosslyn Chapel. And yeah, a couple of Knights Templar places, like the Temple Preceptory there. And Cairnpapel Hill, which I've only been to in the dead of winter when everything was closed and literally frozen up. So I've not actually been inside it. So I'm quite looking forward to this weekend as well. So what things to roll on now. We're actually out there. We've got the we're supposed to find out next Monday whether we're going to open up, and then the Monday after that, so 21st of June, where they're already saying, "Oh, I don't know, we've got to delta this, and we've got to something."
Yeah.
But fingers crossed.
Like, yeah, I know. Let's hope it's not like last summer again, where they're whinging and whining. Yeah. So anyway, this video today will be on my channel. It'll be on the Beyond Room 313 channel. That's where it will be. And don't forget to subscribe to all the playlists on, well, just click to the playlist and it'll get you all them, both on Neil's channels and mine. And today we're going to be doing two other things. We're going to be talking about the Temperance card. It's the next card in the tarot, and then that we're covering. And also we're going to have a talk with Neil again at the end about his new online mystery college, which I have to say, I love the website. I was really checking it. I think it's great, and I think it's a really clever and exciting development for you. So, Temperance, shall I start?
Yeah, you go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, this is a card from a deck I haven't shown before. It's called the. Oops, it's vanishing. The Universal Tarot deck. It's basically a tarted up version of the Rider-Waite. Now, Temperance is, because of this backdrop here, Temperance is basically one of the cards of the Major Arcana. If you didn't know anything about tarot, you'd look at it, the symbolism is very evident right away. You have this angelic figure who is pouring liquids from one cup to another. So there's an element of transference of one state to the next.
Yeah.
It's an angelic figure, so therefore we're talking about a kind of a supernatural, a godly, otherworldly force. So in Temperance, you could think about in terms of temperance within something like being, measured when things kind of alcohol or lifestyle or anything like that. But there's also a spiritual aspect to it as well. The Temperance card, we've conquered the rage of the Devil card. We've conquered the primal instincts of the devil. When we're confronted with challenging situations in life, we no longer react with a visceral retaliation. We tend to we've now learned how to temper our soul, our psyche, in order to balance the situation out and approach it in a more mature and grounded way. Difficult thing to do, but that's what this card is about, both on the spiritual level and on the cognitive level. So controlling your emotions. We've been through the devil stage. We've been through the primal instinct stage. We know the consequences of sometimes rushing into things without thinking about them properly. Temperance is about the control of the emotional, psychological, and psychic forces. A balance, a transfer. There's an alchemical aspect to this, taking the initial terror or anger or fury of or pain of the experience and transforming it into something else, into a creative force. Very good card for artists to channel their feelings into their writing, their poetry, their paintings, their sculpture, their filmmaking, whatever. But the Temperance card is what it is. When it shows up in a reading, you're being told to have a measured response to anything coming your way. You can also get it. I find over the years I've gotten it when I went on the lash. To be honest with you, I had too much to drink, and the next day I would get the Temperance card saying to me like, well, you overdid it last night. You better learn how to like not drink like that, or you go to that extreme to the point where you have a hangover. And that's what it is. It's the card of the maturity, the maturing of the spirit, the maturing of the soul, and the maturing of the tempering of the mind, body, and soul in dealing with extremes and excesses, and learning how to tame the base instincts within you, and from them transforming them into something else. So that's my interpretation of temperance.
Yeah, yeah, we overlap a lot on that one. Yeah, I mean, the first thing people think is, like you said, with your drinking, it's all about not having your glass of wine in the evening. When I think the most important thing to point out for me is the fact that it's at the end of the second row of the tableau. So we've been right across the top. Now I've been right across the second row, and here it is here. So the top row was all the powers, so the universal powers, and the second row is the laws by which these powers work. So the lower connected with the temperance is a law of movement, and that's why, like you said, it was just transferring the liquid from one to another. It's movement. It's that mixture in. So it's temperance in the old sense of the word, where you would temper a metal, where it would become like an alchemical, like you said again, an alchemical change of a substance. So you would be moving one thing into another, and hopefully, so what we've done as we've looked at all these tarot cards, and if you study them, you temper yourself, you change yourself throughout this process. So now we're at the end of this temperance line. Above was the chariot, and the chariot was saying that the personality isn't the chariot, it's the charioteer. So the charioteer is your inner self, and then you've got your outer self being the chariot. So now we're ready to move the chariot. We're ready for movement, because we've got to the point now where we've tempered ourselves to be ready to move on. That's kind of the basic message of the, because there's no point really in having a chariot if you're not going to get on the road and move. So it's this whole magical process of when you're ready to create. And it's the magic thing. You get an idea in your mind, and the idea is that there's no good really having a magic idea in your mind unless you're going to bring it into fruition in the physical world. So it's that sort of movement, tempering yourself to be able to move forward in life. Just looking at a bit of the other symbolism on the card. You've got the little cross, so the little square with a triangle in it. This is talking about movement, because what it's saying is the 3 is the empress and the 4 is the emperor. So the empress was imagination, where the 4 is reason. So what it's saying here, that don't just use your imagination and let it run wild. Always run it through man-made, or not man-made, God-given really, reason. Because there's no point in getting ideas, because the ideas come from subconscious, so they're all suggestions suggested back to you. But if you don't run them past reason, you can get yourself in ridiculous situations. So that's the 3 and the 4. And we talked about the 2 mixing of the waters, and that'll be the water of the wise, or the prana materia. And the angel, which is Michael, is always represented, or can be represented, with a foot on the ground and a foot in the water, to say for this very same thing. It's saying we're going to take the water of the wise, the prana materia, we're going to form it into something that is physical. So that's where it's got one foot in the water and 1 foot on the physical land. In the background, we've got the crown floating in the air there. Now that's the top of the Kabbalistic tree. It's Kether, right up at the top there. Looking at this, actually, just looking. So that's that. And you'll see below it, there are 2 mountain peaks. So that's Kokma and Binna. So the top of the 2 lower pillars. And right at the top of the central pillar is the crown, the Kether. Kether, yeah. So that, I mean, you could probably write a book just about the fact there's a path running right up to the middle through Dar. I think you've read a whole book about that. I'm sure people have. But that's that symbolism, which I think is quite powerful. There's the lilies, which represent death, which is rebirth, which is again he's moving on to the next point, and his wings are red of Mars energy, so that's moving forward as well. So I think that the most important thing is this idea of movement, that we're now using the chariot's personality, which has been tempered and now can be used to do something physically good, to move forward, to evolve on the physical plane. So that's my translation. But it was pretty much the same, weren't it, really, in very lot of ways.
I just want to read from Alfred Douglas's book on the tarot and its origins, its meaning, and its uses. This is my original copy from when I was a kid. It's in bits now. But there's still. I'll put the picture up there, but it's still in publication, and it's still the best book on the tarot. And I just want to read a little passage here, what he says about the Temperance card. In some versions of this card, blue irises grow out of the pool. These flowers are named after the Greek goddess Iris, whose symbol was the rainbow. The complete symbolism of the rainbow, which also appears in some tarot cards, is complex and profound. In one sense, it is a beautiful spectrum of light caused by the radiance of the hidden center, shining through the shifting mists of the subconscious and revealing itself to the world of consciousness as a brightly colored bridge of hope at the bow of promise. The angel of temperance can be seen as the high aspect of the anima, the feminine archetypal power, who live within the seeker's deep unconscious and is the bearer of creative forces from within. So he's saying about it's a good card for artists. She appears here as a mediator between outer consciousness and the inner self. In the medieval mystical world, she is made to speak thus: I am the flower of the field, the lily of the valley. I am the mother of fair love and of fear, and of knowledge, and of holy hope. I am the mediator of the elements, making one to agree with the other. That which is warm I make cold, and the reverse, and that which is dry I make moist, and the reverse. And that which is hard I soften. And that's exactly what you're saying about changing a metal. You hammer, you temper iron into steel. There's an element of refinement to the card, the refinement of the psyche, the refinement of the spiritual state. So what seems on the surface a very simplistic and basic and obvious card, Temperance is actually a very, very deep card. That carries
so
a lot
much
of
more
depth
to it than it just looks like, isn't there? There's amazing depths to it.
Yeah. This is one of the beauties of the tarot, is that it's a lifetime of exploration of it's the book of reality and unreality, the guidebook to the cosmos in 78 cards.
Yeah, absolutely, really definitely.
Now we've done Temperance. Now Neil has put together what's the title of the school again?
It's a Megalithic Academy of Histories and Mysteries.
Yeah, and I was looking over the website, and it's a beautiful website you put together. And as you've seen from these films, Neil has quite a huge experience into the European mystery tradition, where I come more from the Indo-European pagan thing. So just by making these videos with Neil on the symbolism of the tarot, I've learned a lot. But this is an actual course that's going to be a much deeper dive for those adepts who want to become proficient in the mysteries. So could you tell us a bit about the course, how you put it together? And I know you're not the only person running courses on it. Just tell us about the whole thing.
Well, it came out of, the whole school really came out of what we were doing, really. It came out of when we first started doing these. It was the dark nights of the soul, wasn't it? I went through a very, very bad time, a short period, but it was like the shock of it. It was really, really, really. And you probably remember yourself that the atmosphere that we've got now, which is quite free, isn't it? But remember that it was so dark back then, wasn't it?
Oh, when we first met that time in England, I think both of us were almost like suffering from post-traumatic stress or something.
Yeah, definitely.
We're like
And
where we felt like we had our feathers plucked.
that's right. We felt, what did my ex used to say, like a mollusk without a shell.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, yeah. So that made me revisit my past, revisit my training from the early days, and it didn't only just revisit it; it sparked up again like a fire. That was amazing, and a couple of people spoke to me about it, and I was able to help them as well. So it was that really, and the fact that I wasn't earning a living either, so I thought I've got to do something else. Then I thought, well, I'll have to, I'll create this. So what I did, um, just for this particular course, which I've called um, Self Mastery and Empowerment through Ancient Wisdom. It's in 3 different courses, and what each one looks at a row of the tarot. So I'll go through the whole experience from the Fool, looking at every little bit in detail of the teachings of the tarot. It's been fascinating for me as well to go through it all and to record it all. Massive job. It was a massive job. And so that's on there. I mean, and that was just so hopefully somebody can start from the beginning with the Fool, work their way through the 3 courses, and it would be a total life-changing experience. And they would become an adept, I would say, by the end of it. And because every little item, every little card plants a seed in your mind. First it's the obvious things that you learn, but it's also the seeds that you plant into your subconscious, which develop and develop and develop. So you never get to the end of it. There's always a bit more to learn, and a bit more and a bit more. It's like we say, the Fool stands on top of his cliff there. It looks like he's about to fall off the cliff, but there's one step left. There's always one step left. And the idea is that no matter how far you go through the teachings of the Western mystery tradition, there's always another step to take. Something else wow, yeah, I never thought of that. And another realization to form, another direction to go in. So that was that. That was that. It did take me an awful long time. I've still got to finish the 3rd course on, even though it's on the school. But the school itself, it felt now was the time to do it, because we were in a bad place and we were going to come out, hopefully. So the idea is that, and I've put 2 other little wisdom courses on myself. One's free, one isn't, because it was like the next one. So those are me, and then I'm going to do something. I'm going to put Cathar teachings on, and I'm going to put the Knights Templar, and other people are joining as tutors as well. We've got our mutual friend Kevin Rowan Druitt, who's been teaching astrology for 30 years, and he's been coming over, and we've been recording. We're going to go through a whole astrology school and put that on. And another friend, Debbie, yeah, it's quite in depth. I'm learning a lot of him as well. But Debbie Elliott is starting to. She's already recorded the whole course. I'm just trying to edit it and get it up there now. And that's all about the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. And she's excellent. She's going through every tablet, which is like the Western mystery training in itself. So I'm really quite excited about it, because if any, we need more tutors, and this thing can grow, because there's no end to it. Because the basics there now, and yeah, it's infinite.
I love what you said about the knowledge goes into your subconscious mind, and it almost like grows like a flower in a field or something, and then it pollinates and grows as more. This is the beauty of learning about this stuff, is that the initial course is just like that. It's like seeds or flowers planted in your subconscious, and they will pollinate and grow and become very useful in different phases in your life. I mean, even the fact that you had done this in the past helped you a lot during the lockdown. it allowed you to go develop me too to look to start this channel here and develop that and make films and yourself with this. Now, this one course for free, you said, and then you can sign up for the others if you like them. And can you tell us how the actual course? Excuse me, how the actual courses work? Like, do they watch a video or what?
Yeah, so each one. So if you go into, we'll leave a link. If you go into the Megalithic Academy of Histories and Mysteries website, you'll see all the tours, all the courses there. You click on a course, and if you want to enroll, you enroll in it, and then it opens up. And then you'll see a list of chapters. You click on the chapter, and there's a list of lessons within every chapter. And each lesson, or the majority of lessons, are videos. So you click on the video, and you click on the lesson, and the video will open. And so, like mine is a series. It's a series of videos all the way through. You go from one to another, to another, to another, and each one will lead on to the next. And there's also, there'll be PDFs you can click on as well. So you can download PDFs to back it up or to help in various places. But the majority of it is, done in video form.
I'm fascinated by the Cathars module. How will that work? What will will it be about the Cathar religion and things like that?
Yeah, well, I haven't done a structure for that yet, but it will be. And what I'll do is I'll probably start it off in that way. It will be the idea of the dualistic Gnostic tradition and what they believe and the history of it. Then I'll probably move on. Well, that'll be a whole course in itself probably, and then I'll be able to move on to what happened in the Albigensian Crusade. So there'll probably be two, and that's what it'll be. But I haven't got round to that one, but I think that's pretty much what it's going to be. And the Knights Templar as well. I will go through the history really of the Templars.
And this course will be for neophytes, beginners, and people who already have their toe in the water. It'll be good for everyone.
Yeah, I would hope so. Yeah, and if people think they've got a course in them and they want to become a tutor, they'd just drop me an email and maybe we can talk about it, because I really do want to build this now. And when I first started, I had absolutely no idea. It's crazy, isn't it? I know what I'll do. I'll start an academy. What? Where do I start? Well, you probably need a website. Website. Yeah, probably need one of those. So it is literally taken months solidly, from first thing in the morning to last thing in the night, working solidly on this. So it's like a baby. It's there now. But the amount of work just to learn the software and everything, and then physically do it.
It's interesting that you're talking about that in academy and bringing other people in. I'm running the symposium on Beyond Room 313, the talk show, which is on the first one with Fiona Agar. And it's funny how we're both doing the same thing. I'm trying to expand it into, I've always been a lone gunman, and I think you have mostly been too.
Yeah.
And it's like now, since the COVID and the whole lockdown thing, we've moved to more sort of like, you have an academy, I have a symposium. It's so funny how we both have moved into the same direction in that way, expanding it out into a bigger group of people.
I tell you that we don't really know what the effects of all these last 18 months have been on us, but I think it's going to be quite profound. We've had to dig deep. So tell us about your symposium. How's that going to work out?
Well, I've started a show on here called the Beyond Room 313 Symposium. And it's basically an interview show with my friend Jason in Seattle, who's my co-filmmaker and a composer. And we just bring on people. I was going to ask you if maybe Kenny would want to come on. I was going to ask you, John, but we kind of cover this on these talks anyway. But basically, it not only will we interview these people, like we had a girl called Kate Ray last night who deals with fairies and paranormal and ghosts and stuff like that. We had a great discussion. That will be going up later today. And I've got people like Anthony Peake and Hugh Newman booked for it. There won't only be an interview. interview. There'll also be a talk, an exchange of ideas. So, you know, the guest will get something off us, we'll get something off the guest, and then the audience listening will get something off all of us to bring into our own research and work. It's sort of like sitting around in the old symposiums in ancient Greece where they sat around and discussed the nature of reality, or around the campfire in the old Druid days where they sat around talking about the mysteries of life and all these things. So I agree with what you're saying. It's a very profound time, and
Definitely.
what's coming out of this is beautifully surprising, I think, in many ways.
It is, isn't it? But who'd have thought it, really? Because, like I say, looking back at the beginning of this, it was. But that's the way it goes, isn't it? Always through the dark night of the soul, the journey begins. So, and we both started from that sort of dark night to the soul, and things are sprouting out the other side. So, I should imagine that a lot of people will be doing the same things. So, I think, weren't you talking about the new Renaissance? So it's a little bit like that, isn't it?
Oh, I think it definitely is. We have to make this happen. I think we are. I think people are now who are ready to do. Look, I wrote an article today for my Substack blog about how many people I know in the so-called alternative. I don't know how it is in England, but in Ireland, in the alternative spiritual community, bottled it with the whole lockdown and everything. Yeah. Suddenly, people I know who were Mr. Esoteric hedge druid, shaman, Navajo, whatever they were calling themselves, fell hook, line, and sinker for the government and the news thing. And everything they believed in, they threw it away like that. They just threw it away.
Yeah.
And to become normies. And that was a shock to me. How, you know, people who've been spending their time, some of them giving courses on, you know, you are endless consciousness, or you have many lives, or you're reincarnated. And here they are, like, hosing down their groceries for fear that the virus is going to kill them, you know, where they could actually, you know, this shocked me, how some people demonstrated how fake they were in their beliefs. Not just the Christians. I mean, John Waters has written a lot about the Catholic Church, showing basically how godless it is in the face of the corona thing. But I saw among the alternative spiritual community, a lot, I'd say the majority of them bottled it and folded like a cheap camera when the fear of mortality hit them. And we got to see what they really believed in. And I think those of us who stuck to our guns and said, we're going to dive deeper into the mysteries, into this stuff, this world, have actually benefited very, very well from it. From the simple fact that we were ready to allow ourselves to be tested rather than running away in terror.
Yeah, and that fear that's, you see, fear is something that we should be able to face, isn't it? If we've done any training in any of the less, we should be able to look fear in the face and say, okay, well, we're going from here, you know, not run away. But I've always noticed that. So that you go to groups and people, it's like they're doing it's like a play. They're not really. It's not really them. They've just adopted the personality, you know.
The cat lady pagans, as they call them in Ireland, you know, they dress up Stevie Nicks from Fleetwood Mac, and they're all in black with pentagrams, but it's like cosplay at a comic book convention, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, and then there's lots of rituals and things, but I'm thinking, well, what does it really mean to you, this, you know? Does it mean anything, or are you just like playing this little game, you know? I don't want to be too critical, because it's, but yeah, and it's just show people up for what they are.
Yeah, I don't have people playing little games or cosplay. I think I would see anything wrong with that. It's when they turned on you, like when the people who are claimed to be the most spiritual and everything, and I would say something like, well, I'm not bothered, you know, I don't believe, you know, there's a 1% chance of dying. I'm not bothered by it at all. And they go freak out. Within that 1% of possible death, so much was revealed by so many people. The most primal base terrors and fears came to the surface.
And when you think where the fear came from, it makes it worse because the fear came from the behavioral scientists in the government or the government advisors who went out and deliberately decided to cast fear. Now, you shouldn't, and if you let that affect you, knowing, you spend your life saying, "Oh, I don't do what the government tells me. I don't do this. I don't do that," and then you accept the fear that is given to you on a platter.
Believing bureaucrats, they spend all their lives railing against bureaucracy and bureaucrats. They are doing everything that the bureaucrats tell them.
So let's just hope we've moved on from that.
Fingers crossed. Definitely have. I'm definitely feeling a lot more positive now.
Oh,
a lot more. It's like I said, it just takes one or two things to kick the cobwebs out of yourself and get you moving. So I think we'll call it a wrap now. That's so what I'll do is I'll put the links to Neil's mystery schools down the bottom, and you can go sign up there and check out the courses.
Yeah, please do.
What tours he has coming up. And I've got a load of stuff coming up on Beyond 313. I've been uploading videos like the clappers, including this one will go up on there too. So that was it today. Thanks very much again, Neil. This was brilliant.
Before you go, just our tour. Are we how's Ireland now for travel?
The UK has been taken off the quarantine list, so it's okay.
So hopefully,
I'll take a test
because we've got our tour up in. So that's on my Megalithic Tours website. So please come and join us on that as well. Just I thought I'd better mention that as well before we go.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did because it's now the clarity is here. We can travel again, so it's okay.
And the 20th of September, okay. 20th September doesn't seem as far off now as it did.
No, it doesn't at all. So I hope to see a lot of you there, and let's see it as let's have it as a celebration. Of the fact that we didn't fold like a cheap camera when all the propaganda happened.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, thanks very much, Neil, and don't forget to subscribe, everybody, to all the playlists, and we'll see you all next time for the next tarot card and the next chat.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
See you all, folks. Bye.